You like that? I now lowered the music so you're not shocked when I come on. How are you guys? So, welcome to Tuesday. I see Adam, I see Melissa, I see Donald, I see Brandon. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. You can do whatever you want tonight, but you're here with me, sort of. Adam, hello. So I have somebody waiting in the green room. He's been really he hasn't been a good guest. He's very demanding. He needs like certain M&Ms on certain colors on a certain side of the bowl. It's a little odd, but no, I'm kidding. So let's just get right to it. I'm going to bring on Mr. Dan Cockerell. Hey Dan, how are you?
Hey John, how you been?
Good, man. Hanging in there.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, but I have to tell you, I thought I was going to get the Fort Wilderness Dan, the bearded guy. he was a whole different guy.
I'll tell you, that's the longest I've ever had a beard, and my wife kept saying I like it, and she likes it, then it stays. So finally one day I broke and just shaved it right off. Didn't even tell her.
Did she got you mad and you had to punish her somehow and you just figured this is the way to do it?
I told her, it can always come back. It takes me a little bit of time.
It was a pretty epic beard. It really was. I was like, who's this guy? And
there was a lot of gray in there, though. That's what my problem was. There's a lot of gray.
It's called. I think it's called wisdom. I think that's what they tell me.
That's what I like to think.
For those few people who may not know Dan, Dan was the vice president of the Magic Kingdom. Apart from holding many other jobs, I would even say some were. I'm not going to say the word menial. That sounds kind of putting it down. But you were even like a parking attendant in somewhere in Disney, correct?
That's right.
So you didn't just like all of a sudden you were the vice president of the Magic Kingdom. You really built your way up from nothing.
Thank goodness, no.
Yeah, I think that gives you the utmost respect that you did other things. He's here really mainly for this book today. How's the Culture in Your Kingdom? Which I'm going to put this on the bottom so that we can always have it there, because there's some special bonuses that go with, or there's two ways to order it on this link. I hooked it up to disneyboy.com, which is not Dan's link. That is a website I've owned forever, and I just said, instead of giving you this horrible thing to type out, I just hooked everything up to disneyboy.com.
But my link has a dash in it. I mean, what are you going to do?
It's the dash that threw me off. I didn't like the dash. That's why I put disneyboy.com.
Well, it's going to cost me like $2,000 to not get the one without the dash. I'm like, forget it. I'm not doing it.
I agree. You could do some abbreviation or something, but it was pretty simple, to be honest. It was already.
Good.
But there's two ways to buy it. There's Amazon, which is just like a straight $17.95, and let me tell you, I've read about, I'm going to say 30% of it, and that already was worth it. But there's another one that gives you a bunch of bonuses. I'm going to show these bonuses, and we're going to talk a little bit. You get a pre-release copy of the book, plus a live Q&A session with Dan, exclusive photos, priceless. I like that. Old school inspection report. I don't even know what that is, but maybe he's going to come to your house, check out your drapes, your curtains, just make sure. And the time management workbook, if it's anything like what his dad makes, it's awesome. And speaking of dad, he actually had a little message for you today. Every time you've come on my show so far, there's always been something from Dad, right?
You can't slip anything by him, I'm telling you.
Hey, Daniel Cockerell, this is your father. I just hear you're out promoting your book, and I just wanted to remind you and maybe the listeners tonight that my books are still for sale, too. Good luck on your book, and have fun. Take care. Love you, darling. Bye.
That is awesome.
Isn't he the best? He really is.
That's great.
There is a thing, if you go the route of the bonus book for $10, they will throw in Mr. Lee Cockerell's book also, which we know is great. But let me see. What I did, rather than give questions, I came up with stuff that interested me because I was a travel agent for 10 years back in the day.
Yeah.
And then I became the manager of said travel agency. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm a good salesman, but now you want me to lead a team. And just because I do good in the sales seat, I don't know why you thought I'd be good at managing these people that were my competition who now I don't like. So you have something, learning to lead. I think that's a new concept for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that it's a craft like anything else, and you're never done learning, and there's always things to figure out. You always have to be studying. Every profession you can get better, and leadership is the same way. You have to be open.
But I think they think people who are good at their job are just normally good leaders, and I don't think that's true.
No, it's a huge jump. When I first wrote the book, I was writing the book, and we hired an editor. So he said, we can do this three ways. I'll interview you and write it for you, and you're going to give me a lot of money. Or you write it and I'll edit it and make sure it's really well done. You'll pay me a decent amount of money. Or you write it and I'll make sure it gets self-published. You won't sell any books. I was like, I will take option B, the middle one. So he said, who are you writing the book to? You really have to think of who is it you want to talk to. I said, I want to talk to everybody. He said, well, I know you do. You want to sell all your books. And I said, well, I want to find maybe someone in their who just moved out of their individual contributor role into a leadership role. And now they have to get work done through people, because that's a big leap. When you count on yourself, it's kind of like an individual sport. It's all about you. And then all of a sudden you have to work on a team and influence people to get the job done. And it's a big jump for a lot of people. And a lot of people who are very talented a lot of times want to take that same talent to that next level. And there's a kind of a phrase, what got you here won't get you there. And so there's a relearning that has to happen. You still want to use your talents, but you want to make sure you're holding yourself accountable on the results you get through the group. And that takes a lot of, it takes rethinking, delegation, humility. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that come with that. And so I'm hoping that I can share some of my successes and failures and mistakes and high points to give people a little bit of a gaze into how they can improve along the way, and maybe avoid some of the things I did, and maybe share some best practices.
I think, too, when people see the title, How's the Culture in Your Kingdom, they might automatically assume that they have to be the leader of a big corporation in order to get something out of the book. And I think it could even go for a family, like with a kid and a dog, just a culture in your immediate vicinity.
Yeah, I mean, your kingdom is anywhere you spend time. It can be, at your church. It can be at the club you go to, whatever hobby you have, online groups, work, family. Your kingdom, we all live in lots of different kingdoms, and we have different roles in those kingdoms, and we all have influence. And the book goes into that, and I try to get beyond just the professional piece of it into personal things, because I really think they're all interconnected. If you don't feel good personally, it's really hard to be a great leader, because you can't. People like to compartmentalize, but I think it's all integrated. And it's the whole package. So how can you be successful on your terms and enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey? And that's, for me, what I'm finding as I'm getting older, how important that is doing what you want to do, but also enjoying what you're doing.
I think a lot of people may be new to the concept of culture, and you equate culture to the weather. If you can give me more on that.
Yeah, well, it's funny. The original title, the working title of the book was "How is the Weather in Your Kingdom?" And I've heard people say before, your environment and culture is like the weather. It's the environment that's all around you. It's the heat. It's the storms. It's everything that engulfs that. So I went with that title, and there's a lot of weather references in the book. And then the day I talked to the publisher, we went through it, and they said, look, here's some things you can tweak. And by the way, we really think the title of the book, you should, we like the title. When I hear that, I'm like, but we'd like you to change the title. We think it's going to be good for you to change the title from How's the Weather in Your Kingdom to How's the Culture in Your Kingdom. They said, people, don't confuse the consumer. People aren't going to know what that means. But when you use the word culture, people get that. They understand culture. They understand the impact of that. And so we changed that title. And that's what I discovered over my time at Disney is, as a leader, you create the vibe. Every leader creates the morale. They create, when you walk into that place, you can tell if it's positive, if it's negative, if it's stressful, if it's welcoming. And as a leader, you create that. You set the tone for everybody. And from there, that's how people will perform. And I think leaders underestimate how much they influence how people feel just being around.
There are 2 Starbucks in my immediate vicinity. And there is one that I go into, the people are talking to each other, they're laughing. You could kind of feel like, hey, we're at work, so we might as well be happy anyway. Hey, what'd you order? Here's your drink. Sorry, blah, blah, blah. Then there's another one. You can cut the tension every time when you walk in there.
Right.
I don't know if the drink is made any different. It doesn't taste as good. I think it's all in my mind, but I hate going in there because, and if you ask them, they're like, yeah, I hate everybody here. There's a culture in each establishment, even though they're all under the same umbrella.
And I bet if you looked at their surveys for employee satisfaction, if you look at their profitability, if you look at all their efficiency numbers, I bet the first one you talked about is way heads and shoulders above, which makes sense. When people are comfortable, they perform better and they enjoy each other more. They're willing to take risks, give each other feedback. It's all good. And I think that culture piece is such a big piece.
There's something that I think we all can, everybody in this room I know can relate to. All 50 people that are here now can say, you talked about the more we're on Facebook, the worse that we feel, because these people project these perfect lives and we all feel this need. If you can extrapolate on that for me, I'd appreciate it. I think people can really understand that.
Yeah, well, I think we all suffer from that. You know, we one of the terms I open the book up with is this idea of to run your own race. We all are given expectations in our life by our parents, by our spouse. We make up things, our boss, and we put all this pressure on ourselves that we're supposed to do all these things for other people. And I think at the end of the day, it's, you know, your success, only you can define your success. No one else can define that for you. And so what happens with Facebook is we like to compare. And the problem is we're seeing everybody's either high points or staged high points. We're not seeing what's going on just outside the frame of the lens, which is, you know, a spouse yelling at each other or a kid misbehaving or financial worries. And so there's just, it's created this, this false narrative that people think that they're behind. Because why can't I be as happy as all these people? Why can't I enjoy and have these moments like everybody else? And the reality is, I'm telling you, everyone, and this is, I learned this from my dad, everyone is dealing with a problem you don't know about every single day. And I
admittedly don't post anything negative, and I have my down days. Nobody sees that.
Well, you don't do that. You don't wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm feeling discouraged today. My confidence is low and I don't feel good about myself. No one posts that. Why would you do that? And so my wife, Valerie, she loves this term of embrace crappiness. You know, there's days you're just going to not feel good. You're not going to feel good about things. But you know what? That is life. That's life. And if you don't have days when you're feeling low energy, you're not feeling confident about yourself, you're worried about things, that is totally normal. And that makes the good times even better when they do come. So I think there's just a false sense of life right now, because
it can't be Christmas every day. I agree with that.
Yeah, everyone gets to see all that stuff and they just feel like they're being left out, but it's not true. We all worry about something. We're all dealing with things.
There's a part in the book where you say create your own luck. And the reason why that means a lot to me is anytime something good happens in my life, somebody says, wow, you're really lucky. Yeah. And I explain to them what it got to get there. And it wasn't just luck. It was trying to be a nice guy, trying to collaborate, just certain things. It's not luck. Sometimes it's because you did the right steps to get that luck.
Yep. No, absolutely. It's mindset. I'm a huge believer in mindset. If you believe certain things come to be, and that mindset makes all the difference in the world. And this idea of a growth mindset means you're open to opportunities. You're willing to put yourself out there and make mistakes. You know, people who don't have a lot of luck are afraid to make mistakes. They keep doing the same things over and over again. They're good at because they don't want to fail. And the people who I think grow, they fall on their face every day and they're trying new stuff and they're putting themselves out there and and they just keep growing their knowledge base. They grow their relationship base. I've been an entrepreneur now for 2 years. I think pretty much every single piece of business I've gotten has been off word of mouth. Someone who knows someone who met someone who I returned an email to. I got to go to Brazil twice the past couple of years. And the only reason I got to go there was because my French cousins lived with us and took English classes at Stetson University and met a guy from Brazil who came over for a barbecue. And 6 months later, he's in Brazil and someone said, we're looking for a speaker. He goes, well, I know a guy who just left Disney. It just happens that way. And so you can't judge these interactions with people on what am I going to get out of it. You just have to be always on, always looking, engaging, being curious about people. And I've found that when you help people, you reach out and connect with people, it comes back to you tenfold. Maybe not the next day, but it's karma. I like karma.
Well, that's probably a good segue to the section about relationships. If you can even tell the story as much as you can, I know it's in the book, and I'm not giving away this book. It's got really a lot of stuff in it.
Sure.
The BMW and the Audi thing about relationships. When Valerie went for a car, I thought that was incredible, and I get it. If you can give us that story, that would be awesome.
You did your homework. I love
Of
this.
course.
It's great.
Dan Cockerell, I did my homework.
Yeah. So way back in the day, we had a Toyota Sienna minivan. We have 3 kids. And so, Valerie, as the kids were growing up, she's like, well, I'm a soccer mom. I'm not cool now. I got this minivan. And she gave me the heads up. She said, look, when the kids get old enough and we don't need this big minivan, I'm getting a really nice car. And I said, yes, ma'am. So I started saving up on the side. And the day that came, she said, all right, I want an SUV. I was like, yes, ma'am. So the first thing we went to Audi. We went to an Audi dealership. And I walked in. I told the dealer, I said, look, the sales guy, I said, look, I just want to give you a heads up. This car is not for me. It's for my wife. You should talk to my wife about this. I will be here just to support. She's the one you want to be with. So we go out to the car, and he starts talking to me about the engine. I'm like, this is not going well. And then finally, when we went to do a test drive, he handed me the keys. And I was like, all right, well, you're not selling a car today, because I could just feel the tension from her. She drove the car. We left. She's like, I don't care if he gave that car to me. I wouldn't take it. She was just, she just felt disrespected. So we went to BMW, which I wish we went to Audi. BMW is even more expensive. So we went to BMW and we met Hugh. And Hugh's the man. And he's actually there now. He's at Dan Field's BMW in Winter Park. And we walked in. I met Hugh. Someone had recommended him, actually, and mentioned him. And I told him that. And, for an hour we were with him. He totally ignored me. I'm like, dude, I'm right here. He's like, I heard what you said. This car's for your wife. And he talked to her about all the benefits of it and the cup holders it had and the safety pieces and how cool it was. And he drove it. I sat in the back. He was riding shotgun. And then we walked out with the car. And about 6 months later, a tree fell on my Toyota. And I'm just like, I've been sent a message. I should buy a BMW too. So it wasn't even rational. I went back. I bought a BMW from him, like $30,000 more than I would have spent on a Toyota replacement, just because he gave such great service. So there's a lot of emotional pieces and non-rational thinking, I think, when it comes to service and leadership. And people just want to be taken care of, and they want to have that emotional connection. And when you make that emotional connection with people, you can do whatever you want. You can do anything, because people really value that.
Where in the States is that BMW, just so we can give Hugh a shout out?
Winter Park, Florida.
Got to go see Hugh if you're looking for a BMW in Winter Park, Florida. Talk about relationships and paying it forward. Also, I loved something about, there was a folder, was it a do good folder? Or you did good folder?
You did good folder.
You did good folder. Tell me about that, because I think that's another interesting thing.
Well, this comes back to, I think, that idea with social media. I don't care what level you are in any company. You have days when you are down on yourself and you're like, man, I shouldn't have this job. I'm an imposter. I shouldn't be here. And so, every once in a while I get a card from a guest or a cast member, or I get an email from somebody and said, hey, great job. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And I would always print those and put those in this yellow folder and put it in my drawer. And then the day came, which was pretty often, I'd make a mistake on a decision. I would really screw up. And, I'd get a call from my boss or a call from somebody, or just get reamed out. And I'd pull this folder out and I'd say, okay, read these good times. You're a good person. You're okay. You're going to get through this. And when I do keynote speeches now, one of the last things I always share at the end was a phrase from a song called The Bug by Dire Straits. And there's a phrase in it that some days you're the Louisville Slugger and some days you're the ball. And that summed up, I think, once again, I love the authenticity of that. I don't care what job you're in or what life you're living. There's certainly some days you're on top of the world, and other days you're just like, I got kicked around today. And the point is, you get a hot shower, you get a good night's sleep, you get up the next day, and you go right back in again, and you just keep coming at that. And that's what I think life's about. You just keep coming back day after day, enjoying the ride, embrace the hard times, learn from them, and celebrate the good times. And you're a good person folder, and just to prop you up when you need it.
Yeah, I think Dad just posted something that he's still getting. Either he still got it or he looks at it, because it makes him feel good. Some envelope. I just saw it. I forgot what it was on his Facebook page that he posted.
Oh yeah, he
What
loves that too. He's talked about that before. He said, not having a little lack of confidence is a great motivator in life, and I think we all have a little bit of that. We're always wondering, are we really what we're supposed to be delivering here? And it drives performance. I think.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
What I like to in the book, you're very aware that people may not be able to read it from front to back. He tells you right in the book that if you have to go to this section and get a life lesson from there, and I like that you give examples of how you learned such lesson from Disney. Let me put this book back just so that in case anybody joined since then. This is How's the Culture in Your Kingdom. It doesn't necessarily mean your company. It could be your family, your house. It could be inside your brain, actually. There is a lot about physical fitness, mental fitness, moral fitness, and a lot of it I'm taking to heart more than I thought, actually. So I gotta sit down with it and read it even more. Let me go back to these things just to tell them. There's two choices if you're buying the book. One is just, hey, buying the book from Amazon. The other is you're paying a couple dollars more to get an autographed copy, and there's a couple of things that you're getting also from Dan in there. Sorry to cover your face like Mike Wazowski with that.
That's all right. Give them all the information. I appreciate it. It's funny you talk about that section of just the lead yourself first, physical fitness, and get enough sleep. And I've always been a big believer in that. If you don't feel good about yourself, it's really hard to be able to have the energy to do other things. And having that positive attitude and being organized. And the editor asked us, he said, I was really surprised that you had this in a business book. And we actually considered putting it at the back of the book. And we finally said, look, we decided this is the most important thing. If you don't take care of your own health, your own attitude, your emotional intelligence, it's really hard to deal with life. And so we kept it at the front of the book. And so I just wanted to take the risk to do that.
Putting those things into a business book is kind of like a doctor talking about vitamins. We don't hear about that, and it probably should be something they do. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
There was something else here. Oh, I wanted you to tell me about how because this is just interesting, again, to our viewers too with the Disney, the test track, and that you saw that the capacity could really be fixed with that single rider line.
Yeah. So when we first opened Test Track, it was a great attraction, except it really didn't work, which is problematic. And so, General Motors was paying us a lot of money to make that thing work. And so we started to push ourselves. And, when you're being pushed, you're looking for every solution. How do you get every piece of value out of it? And so we started looking at all the possibilities. And because the reliability was low, there's only two other things you can do if you don't have high reliability, is you can extend the operating hours or you can get more people in each car. And if you've been on Test Track, you have 2 rows of 3. And that's problematic because a lot of people travel in even numbers. And so you'd have to split people up, and the grouper at the attractions, finding someone who's a single rider or splitting up people who want to wait to ride together. And so we discovered quickly we had to come up with another solution. And I remember at the time Carl McDonald was the general manager, and he said, how do we get more people? You're at like 5.2 guests per vehicle on average. How do we get to 6.0? And we started to brainstorm, and we said, well, what if we had a separate line just to be able to pull people out and fill in that last seat? And he said, start it tomorrow. And so the way it started was we go out in the crowd and say, hey, everyone, if you're willing to ride by yourself, we have a shorter wait for you. And people started signing up and getting in that line. And then we designed a sign, and then we designed a separate queue. And that's how it kind of went along. And we had to, train people, because some couples came in and like, well, look, we're together. We're not single, but we'd still like to split up. I'm like, you're okay. So people didn't quite understand the concept. But I think it goes to prove, you've been running at the time, Disney had been open, 40 years. And there's always another way to do things. You're never done learning. You're never done changing. There's always something else you can do. And it was a pretty cool project. It pushes you to be very creative when you have to be.
You realize now the single rider line is like a second nature thing to all of us, right? I
Right.
mean, we know it's like every big ride now or attraction has the single rider, and people look for it now. So that was a great implementation.
Yeah, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. When you need something, you make it happen, you figure it out. And that was, at the time it was very stressful, but over time it actually was a positive thing. So it really helped us with a lot of capacity, a lot of other attractions on property.
So what are you doing now? Are you doing speaking like motivational speak, like, all kinds of this kind of business speaking?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's funny. I'm in Jackson, Mississippi right now, and tonight I have a client here, and as I was leaving, he's going to dinner. I said, "Well, I'll be late to dinner." He said, "Well, what's going on?" I said, "Well, I'm on a show," and he said, "What's that? A Disney one?" He goes, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you know Big Fat Panda?" He goes, "I watch that all the time with my kids. We get in bed together, and we get on Apple TV, and we run it at the YouTube on our TV and watch that."
That is so great. I was just asking you if that was John and Delicata, who I saw in here, and it wasn't, which I'm glad, because then I actually know more people than I think I know.
Yeah,
That's
and I said,
awesome.
why do you watch him? He said, "I'll tell you, we didn't before, but when he started doing those live feeds for all the new lands, that's when we really got interested. Our kids loved it." So you're famous in Jackson, Mississippi, John.
Are you going to dinner? Are you going to dinner with him now? If I let you go?
Oh, well, eventually I will. Yeah.
Okay, I want you to say hi to him for me.
I will.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, one of the things that I'm doing now, Valor and I are working, my wife and I are working closely together. CockerellConsulting.com is the new website she just developed. And so we're doing coaching, we're doing leadership workshops, webinars, all kinds of different things. But when this COVID-19 hit, we had, like everyone else, we had to totally rethink what we were doing, because we were going to go to Australia. I had some keynote speeches, and all of a sudden everything got canceled. And this is the reality of, like everyone else was struggling with. And we said we can either sit back and wait for the business to come back, or we can start to adapt and start to change and start to figure this out. And so we're doing a ton of online stuff now. I have a keynote in a few weeks with 1,000 people in Australia, and I'll be doing it on my computer. And I think people are getting more used to this now, is interacting remotely. But we have the book going on sale. Like I said, we're doing some webinars. We do leadership coaching. We're kind of doing all kinds of stuff, and we're just keep trying something new every single day to keep moving forward here. So
Also, I'm going to make one more business contact for you.
Yeah.
She's my second half of the show. This is Becky Mankin, who owns mousefantravel.com, and I always say the commercial, a division of MEI Travel. It's a pretty big Disney travel agency, all earmarked and stuff with the highest levels of things. Becky, meet Dan. Dan, meet Becky, because when she gets back up, she's got a lot of agents that could use some speaking.
Oh my
Very
God.
good.
Dan, it's great to meet you. I've spent a lot of time with your father, and this is the first time I've got the opportunity to meet you, but I was really happy to hear your interview. And as a matter of fact, I turned around and bought the book.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Did you use my link?
Yes, I used your link because you have all of the fantastic benefits. So, you throw me something for free on the side, to be like, I can't resist that. I got to go buy that.
Yeah, free is always good.
Exactly. But I really loved your message, especially about the positive attitude, because that's something that's really missing right now in our world.
Yeah.
But the thing that really hit me is something that I try to do in my own company is business isn't really about what you sell. It's about the relationship that you cultivate.
Absolutely.
And it's not just that momentary, oh, let me get your credit card and book your travel and hey, have a great time.
Right.
It's so much more than that. And I really appreciate your message on that. And I'm looking forward to getting the book.
No, I appreciate that, Becky. I agree with you. Just doing a little extra every day, doing a little extra, that little differentiation will take you to new heights. And I just think people they get down on themselves, or I don't know what it is, but we're all here on this planet, and we've got this time here, and there's you, as I always tell people, you are control your emotions. You can decide if you're getting frustrated. You can decide if you're sad. You can decide if you're getting angry about something, and there's a time and place for all that, but it's your decision. And I think a lot of people don't realize that that's their choice. You have a choice of how you react to things, and you can come things in a very positive way or a very negative way. And I think the negative people always think the positive people are naive. Why would you be so happy when something happens? Why aren't you more worried about it? Well, because I couldn't control what happened, but I can control how I react to it. And I'm choosing to be positive and move forward. And I think it frustrates the negative people.
I think so too. And try owning a travel agency in a pandemic.
Yeah. Talk about challenge. Yeah.
And still be able to smile at the end of the day, because like Panda and I have talked a lot that my team has been doing nothing for 4 months, but canceling trips and doing refunds, which we're happy to do. But the moment when we could rebook something and know that we were doing something positive and making a little magic for somebody, man, that just lifted us up 10 feet off the ground.
Yep.
Being able
Even, I've kept in touch with a lot of managers at Disney, and during the furlough, there was 2 camps. There was a camp that was like on the couch, worried about their jobs and applying for the unemployment and doing all that. And there was a group that said, forget this, I'm going to go do stuff. And they started to come up with new businesses. They went on to Etsy. They started making things. They got busy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them now have these side gigs. Now they're going back. And that's the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. You say, look, I don't care what you do, I'm going to be okay. And I'm just going to keep getting up and keep fighting. And it's a great way to live. And I think it's motivating. And it's not always easy. But once again, your other choice is just be miserable. And I'd rather be happy about what's going on. So
I'm right there with you. I get up every day and you get that little pang of, oh, this pandemic was not a nightmare. It's real. So you make choices on how you're going to deal with it. And, 5 months down the line, here we still are, but hopefully we'll get through it soon.
Yeah, those who are open-minded will be fine, and those who are not are really going to keep just struggling. So I think you got to open up and just change, be adaptable. And it's hard. We all get caught in our routines. We all think we're owed certain things. We should have a certain lifestyle. And the reality is you got to be ready to change. And if you have a roof over your head and you have food, you're still better than most of the world and you're safe. So just be grateful for what you have.
Dan, I'm going to let you go to dinner. I promise you, even while we're talking, me and Becky, we're going to still talk about the book. I'm going to plug it again at the end. How's the culture in your kingdom? I want you to say hi to Dad for me and the person that knows about me that you're going to dinner with. And I can't thank you enough. I have a feeling you're going to be writing another book, and I'll have to have you back.
Well, we're already putting together. My wife's working on one too, so we'll be back.
Maybe I have to have Valerie back.
She is. I mean, once she gets out there, you're going to forget about me. I'm telling you, she's my secret weapon. So.
All right, I'll hold you to that.
Good. Well, thanks for having me, John, and thanks for everyone for listening. Hope everyone has a great night. Thank you.
I will. I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure. I'll bother you at some point. Thank you, sir. I think you're a great guy.
That was a really good interview. And
thank you.
I mean, the moment that I stopped and went, okay, I've got to buy this book. So
it actually, listen, I'll be honest with you. I procrastinate a little bit, and I probably read most of it today, but so many things stuck out to me, and there were so many things that I need to go back to and just sit down and read it. And I thought that it was going to be really quick because it's not the thickest book, but when you open it, it's not written in little child font. There's a lot here.
There's a lot.
And what's great is how everything that he tells you that he learned goes back to how he got to that answer. It's not just I'm spewing stuff that my dad taught me, which would be good as it is because of his father. So.
Oh, he's amazing. I've had the honor of spending a lot of time with him over dinners and so forth as we've been in places where he was doing speaking engagements. And just tapping into his brain just a little bit, the man knows so much and has so much wisdom. It's really amazing. And to know that he passed that on to his son, and now his son is passing it on to us as well. It's such a great...
I know you probably have all of Lee's books, but if you go to thedisneyboy.com and you chose the book with the extras at the bottom, did you see for $10 you can also get Lee's book added there? And did you see Dad gave a little video for me to give to Dan?
See that was incredibly awesome.
And if you remember when I had Dan on my show, his dad said, ask him about the time that Priscilla and I went away and he had a big party in the house, some drunken frat party. By the way, he's still there. Dan, you can go to dinner. It's okay. I don't want you to hang out there. I don't mind if you hang out. It's good. I just feel bad. I feel like I'm stopping you from eating. That's all. So, Becky, before we talk about travel, I'm going to do a quick bit of housekeeping for somebody that I promised. Now, I didn't know this because we know Lisa and we know Core Memory Candles and we love them. But did you know that Scentsy also makes Disney stuff?
I didn't.
I did not. I want to show you this real quick. Hold on. I got to put this banner up here. Because, again, she's another person that gave me this, but she gave me this huge, long web address. So I took a website that I own called Panda Peeps and turned it into her. Guys, I want you to just see this stuff. These are Etsy, it's not Etsy, Scentsy oil warmers, I guess, tart warmers type of things. I didn't know they had tart warmers of Mickey and Minnie, but wait, Becky, look what's coming. Yeah.
My.
Right? So if you go to pandapeeps.com, it connects you to Debbie from Sensi. She's got all kinds of Disney stuff to get right now. And I would just suggest, I'll leave that up there for a little bit. And that's my commercial for her. But I'll talk about that one more time before
Real
we end.
license
I
stuff.
want,
Wow.
but I do want that the villain warmer. I definitely
That
want
looks cool. That definitely
Is is travel feeling better?
Oh, um, better than last time we talked about a month
Better
ago.
than 3 weeks ago? Yeah.
Yeah, it is starting to feel a little better. Obviously, with the parks opening up, and I know that there's a lot of people who still don't feel comfortable with travel, and that's just fine. Um, Seeing though what they're doing inside the hotels and inside the parks, especially, are so comforting. And just watching the live streams that everybody's doing and the videos that you put forward and the information that you've put forward, it gives me that feeling that I'd actually be much more comfortable on property than I would be in my own grocery store.
Listen, we've talked privately, and you know I'm a I'm a scaredy cat. I'm high risk. I'm a scaredy cat. I went to the studios 2 weeks ago, or a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, so I'm okay. It obviously worked, and I felt a lot safer than I probably should have felt, but I really did. The way it was handled felt good.
Yeah, and we're also getting a lot more professional medical people who are hopping on board. Like right now, 3 of the cruise lines just announced this big, huge initiative that they're putting together to make sure that
That's
they
exciting.
have all those, important.
Can you talk about that muster station app?
Oh
for
my
Royal Caribbean?
God. I'm
The best.
so happy about that. It is technology from Royal Caribbean and /Celebrity, because Royal Caribbean owns Celebrity Cruise Lines. And they've been working on this for a while, because I remember hearing a little bit about a patent that they were working on last year. I mean, even before this whole pandemic thing occurred. So it's incredible. And at first, just work with me, go with me as we talk about this. They're moving the muster station information to an app, to a phone app. So for those of you who haven't cruised, and for those of you who did, I'm going to take you back to that nightmare for a second. They basically say, okay, at 4:45, you're going to all report to your muster stations. And some do it better than others. Some still have you pack into your muster location and have you line up, and you've got like 3 inches between you and a whole bunch of strangers, and you're all packed in there for like 20 minutes waiting for all of the announcements.
It's not pleasant even without a pandemic.
No, it's not. It's not fun. It's two things that I hate about cruising, and mustering is one of them. So they found a way to move this to the app, so you get all the information that you need, like where your muster station is, how to put on a life jacket, all of that information. So you go through the drill on your phone. Now, a lot of people that makes me nervous, because then I won't know where to go. And so if it's all done on the phone, what's the point? But they do have an element that you do have to go physically to the muster station at some time to have a crew member there check that you've been there, so you know exactly where it is. So this is fantastic. And Royal Caribbean, being smart people, they put a patent on it, and then they are licensing it to other cruise lines.
So if DCL does get it, Disney Cruise Line, they may be paying Royal Caribbean to use it.
Quite possibly.
Unless they can get around the patent somehow.
Right, unless they have another way of going about it. So I am so happy about that. I do see a question that Stan is asking about what's the second thing I don't like. Disembarkation.
Yeah.
It depends on what cruise line you're on, but some of them still have the, okay, you got to wait into this area until they call the blue tag, and then you get to leave the ship. There's nothing less magical about a cruise than having to say goodbye to it to begin with, but then the process is just a little cumbersome and not the funnest thing. So a lot of people are looking at how to do that better as well. For example, Celebrity allows you to spend, I think it's like $39 a person, and you can actually still stay on the ship. So what
is the state of booking? Can I book a Disney cruise now?
Absolutely. And 2021.
From when to when? When can I start going?
Well, right. There's a great question that you just said there at the very beginning. Right now, Disney Cruise Line has paused cruises until September-ish. Okay. We're waiting. we're all waiting because there's several things that have to happen. The CDC has to get a list of requirements that the cruise lines are saying, this is what we feel we need to safely go back to sea. The CDC has to sign off on it. And the CDC only went up through September 15th, so they only extended it 2 weeks rather than 30 days, which tells us they might
It's
be
getting
feeling
close.
better. Yeah, it's getting
Okay.
closer. However, Princess Cruise Lines has extended their pause all the way till December 15th at this point. So it really is kind of on pins and needles for all of us, wondering how that's going to work. However, here's my thing, and I'm kind of advising people that if you're looking to cruise, look at 2021 right now. If
Just to play it safe.
yeah, I mean,
But if I want a Christmas this year Disney cruise, there's a good possibility.
yes,
Maybe. But
yes,
it's a
correct.
okay. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is they'd cancel it and I'd maybe get a little bit of a cruise credit to rebook and keep it booked.
Correct. So
You're
many
not
times
losing.
right now, if they cancel on you, they've been giving you 125% back in a cruise credit. So a lot of the
I might book for September 21st just to.
I know. I
All
think
right, so
for that too, is obviously they don't want people to take advantage of things, but
right.
they are making it so much easier with policies that are a little bit more friendly for us, so that if you do have to cancel, like right now, if you book, and I think it's August 30th, you can cancel up into a certain amount of number of days up till March of 2021. So there's a little bit of added comfort that if things still aren't looking all that good and you don't want to take the risk, you can still retain your money and move it forward on a cruise.
In regards to the Disney resorts, something just happened. Something got pushed back. Something got what? Can you give me that breakdown?
Yeah, they did a couple of things to us. And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, they pushed the opening of the Polynesian resort and of Art of Animation. They were supposed to be opening on August 12th. Now they've pushed the Poly to October 4th and Art of Animation to November 1st.
Okay.
They also made the difficult decision to not announce an opening date yet for Beach Club or Boardwalk Inn.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a little disappointing. However, I know that they're doing everything that they can to manage the number of people. And as we're still seeing numbers go up in Florida, it hasn't been, the place that people are running to go to the parks right now, and it's totally understandable. So I have a feeling that they haven't quite hit some of the numbers that they wanted to initially. So they are just trying to adjust things. So
they're mitigating their losses.
Correct.
Which is pretty understandable.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a celebration when they all finally when things start normalizing. Could you imagine when they announce again, like fireworks again? It'll be a big deal, and we'll all celebrate, and parades again.
Oh, I am so excited just for the day when they say all the resorts are open now, or hey, we can park hop again, which I think that would be fantastic when we get to that point.
I think over 40, park hopping stopped for me. I am where I am, and I will enjoy this park. No, I'm not kidding. I'm kidding. I used to go run from Epcot to Magic Kingdom to catch
I'm
fireworks.
going to say, wait a minute, what?
But it gets exhausting sometimes.
It's so easy now, though, with the Skyliner there.
The Skyline, I know. I miss the Skyliner.
I do too.
All right, so for you personally, when are you coming back to visit a park and see this new stuff? Like the new protocols?
I right now, everything that I had has canceled up until October 24th. Okay. So I'm still scheduled to come back in October.
Yeah, good.
We have to wait and see if that event still goes forward, because obviously if there's no job for me to do there, it doesn't make sense to fly all the way across the country, although I really want to. I'm going to wait on that one. And I do have a vacation that's scheduled over Thanksgiving to be there for an actual vacation. So if October doesn't go, it will be November. So I'm going to hold on to that.
Speaking of November, I know you're going to give me bad news here, but what do you think? You think Christmas party probably not happening? It's
Well,
iffy.
because Disney thinks Christmas starts on November 1st.
I know.
I'm
I
thinking
can't see it happening.
I can't either. Unfortunately, obviously I have no information. I'm guessing, but knowing that they've kind of put the kibosh on so many things that have people gathering in places, I just don't see how they can and maintain the social distancing and
I agree.
safety things that make us feel so comfortable about going there.
Guys, if you have any travel-related questions, now is the time to type them in and let me know. Gene, I did see that. Gene's asking me, out here, it's not really a vacation thing, but out here there is now a drive-through haunted house. So people are trying to be creative to,
Yeah.
I guess keep your windows open and it'll be less scary, that's for sure, because they can't get me. I'm trying to think of what other travel-related questions. I mean, it all seems kind of iffy this year. I think December, if it was me, I would try maybe for a cruise in December. If people booked a cruise and then got canceled and they got their 125%, but then that got canceled and they had to book again, did they get an additional
No, I just
credit? It was the one time. All right. I was saying some people got canceled and rebooked 4 times. Maybe they got a free cruise out of it all.
Not quite. I think their revenue management is smart enough to make
Yeah.
sure we are double dipping
That's-
in the way that they don't want us to. Instead of going to Castaway Key twice.
Too good to, let me tell you, the Disney cruise line that I went on once that went to Castaway Key twice was great. Didn't go to anywhere else. Just was. I was like, that was the best one.
It's
And if you got a bad weather day, it's okay because you're going back.
correct, and you never know with what it's because I normally go in the fall, right? Because I'm trying to avoid Florida right now because it is hot as the surface of the sun, from what I understand.
And did you see even next Sunday we have a 50-mile-per-hour storm above us?
Oh,
but then if you look at Africa, there's just 5 pinwheels lined up for us.
Oh. You know what? I'm going to be watching you from here, and just you can text me and tell me how it's going.
I will. Let's see, Becky, are you saying people from states do they have to do the quarantine when they get back from Florida?
This is probably one of our biggest challenges right now because this changes on almost a daily basis. And yeah, there are certain states right now that are saying if you go to Florida, you have to quarantine for 14 days when you get back. There are, of course, Florida who says if you're coming from certain states, you have to quarantine for 14 days when you get there. And if you try to go to a Disney resort, they're going to ask you to stay for 14 days and not go into the parks. Honestly, I don't know how this is being policed. I do know that in Hawaii, if you try to do that, you will get fined and arrested if you're not paying close attention and adhering to their 14-day rules. All the other states are just, every day we hear one state that says no. Colorado, no, if you go to Florida, you can't come back unless you quarantine. So over and over and over again, we just keep running into this situation. And now New York has really pushed the limit. Yesterday, they said that any incoming flights from Florida will be met by police who will have you fill out a card that you have to state where you were, where you've been, where you're staying in New York. So some of them are getting a little.
If they wanted to spot check, they could.
Yeah.
All right. That would make me adhere to it, where I don't know if most people would without that.
So is a professional travel planner, I have to tell you that you need to adhere by the laws and regulations of the states in which you're visiting and or departing from.
But as Becky Mankin, no, I'm kidding.
It is totally up to you at that point. As a matter of fact, anybody.
Hello, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy.
I think Jeremy's week is next week, by the way, on the show with music and all. I'm not sure if it's next week. I think it is.
Okay, that's cool. I will have to watch that.
So
they aren't. And the other ones that aren't playing, somebody just said, New York or Cuomo isn't playing. California. California is definitely taking a hard look and a hard response to this, which is why we haven't seen any information on Disneyland. That's going to be probably the first park I go to because I think Disneyland is hopefully will open before I get a chance to get back to World. But right now, the resorts have canceled all reservations up until I think it's August 8th. So that's right around the corner. I think it's probably going to be pushed again only because the numbers in California have gone up so high.
And the Marvel superhero thing, we don't know anything about that in California.
No, I'm really Avengers Campus. As a matter of fact, that's what my shirt is from, is Avengers Campus.
Is it?
And I wore it just because I wanted to feel like I want to go to Disneyland. We have not heard any opening information about that. I think it's going to be pretty quick, though, after the park starts opening again, or Disney may wait until they can get to a higher number in the park so that a lot of people can enjoy it. I'm not sure how they're going to handle it, but I could argue it either way.
How far in advance could a family book Disney right now? If I wanted to book right now, December 2021, I could?
No. You could book up until September 26th, 2021 right now.
Okay.
And you may not be aware, if you book a package or you have your annual pass and you book a hotel, you can also book your parks the moment that you book the package or the room.
Okay.
So as long as you have media that's valid ticket media, so if you book a package, you're going to have valid ticket media immediately, you can actually book the package and go right in and reserve the parks up until September 26th.
Do you know when they'll extend that September 26th?
This is my feeling. I have this just sinking little feeling that they're waiting on that because I think they want to announce whatever benefits are going to be packaged for the 50th.
So that's right. I forgot October 1st.
So they stopped on the 26th.
Yeah.
Really smart, because if you check in on the 26th, you might stay there for a few days, but that is the cutoff right now. So until they're ready to start really talking about the 50th and knowing where we're going to be, hopefully by October of 2021, we're out of this thing, please. But I think they want to have something really special about that time once you check in after October 1st.
The reason I asked about the holidays of next year is because I have a little thing to end the night with. I have 2 separate little videos. I usually take a whole video of the Christmas parade, but my 2 favorite parts of the parade are Santa and the wooden soldiers. So let's watch the wooden soldiers first, then we'll come back, we'll talk a little bit, then we'll go back to the last part, and then we'll call it a night. So for those of you that all hung out with us till the very end, and it looks like all of you have, let's watch. This is my favorite part of the Christmas parade, and I think it was me and Jeff Lang from Mouse Steps. We get this spot every year. We talk to each other. We have hot cocoa. Denise goes and gets us chips and stuff because we wait right here for this shot. So enjoy this. I was just talking to the stranger next to me. Is that the greatest thing in the world? He must be like, you're crazy. But he said, no, you're right. Yeah, the minute December comes out for next year, you got to just book it because you don't have it this year. So it's got to mean more next year. And I do have the Santa section of that I want to play.
Good.
No, go ahead. You got time.
This is important for those of you who want to go in 2021 and stay on property. Don't wait. seriously don't wait, because we don't know how many of the resorts are going to be open or when they're going to be open or what they're going to close. As you can tell, they were going to have something open and then they closed a couple of them, which means availability might be a lot lower than you're used to. So
Sure, there's less resorts too, and eventually the people want to go back. Sure.
correct. So this is now the time to think about 2021, because clearly you can book it and cancel it if you need to, or move it later. You're not going to lose your deposit as long as you cancel before the final payment of the package. Or if it's room only, it's 5 days ahead of time. So, and anybody who's in Florida right now too, there's some amazing Florida resident specials.
Yeah, Linda's telling me about these rates that are just killing her to see.
Which we can do those too. We can book military, we can book Florida resident specials, we can book AP rates. So anything that you want to entertain, go into Disney World, book it so you know you have it. And if you need to cancel it, then cancel it later.
And for those of you that don't know, booking with an agent is, you're not paying extra, but whenever there's a change or something comes up, they know about it. I know Mouse Fan Travel contacts you. So there is a difference. I mean, there's, than booking it on your own.
And we don't take anything away from you. We understand that the planning for many of you is part of the fun, but we can watch for extra deals and stay on hold for you for 8 hours if that becomes necessary, like it did just a few weeks ago.
I don't think Marla's here, but she can attest to that. She's always telling me about she's changing her trip and somebody's on hold for her for hours, so that's very nice. Let's get to the end of this, and I'll get right back to you, Becky. We'll be back.
Okay.
This is another one of my favorites. Got a good shot here, too. He didn't look at the other side, which sometimes they do. They look to the other side of the audience. You're like, ah. I want that back. I want that back so bad. And listen, I know people love Halloween. They love it, and I do too. That parade for me does something with the castle all lit up. It's going to be beautiful again.
I love them both. People ask me all the time, which one would you do, the Halloween party or the Christmas party? And I say both because I couldn't decide. I love the reindeer. I love the toy soldiers, but I also love the grave diggers. And,
Sometimes when I lived in New York, it was inexpensive enough to come down for a weekend for Halloween and then come back in a weekend for Christmas. I don't know if in the future, that'll be, but you can do both if you wanted to.
I would if I could.
So thank you, dear, for joining me for this hour. This was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for pulling me in. I really appreciate it. And again,
I'm so glad I got to introduce you to Dan, because it was a good segue for travel stuff.
Never met him before. That's a wonderful thing. I keep getting, because I never get introduced to anybody. So that's
terrible. You should always be. Let me see if I got any questions here before. No, I see you answering questions. I was going to be like, oh, there's Becky. No, she's right here. No, Mary, Halloween is not better. It might be as good, but it's not better. Gene, they're all turning on me saying Halloween is better.
Well, I mean, gravediggers are kind of cool.
The gravediggers worry me that they're ruining the street with their shovels. I'm worried about the facade of the concrete.
That's what third shift is for. They go in there and they make everything pristine and beautiful.
And they buff it out. Okay. I always do. Every time they put the thing down, I'm happy they're scraping. I'm like, no, not so hard. You're making problem with the street. I got to mention one more time, please, before we go. Deborah Greenhouse is the Sensi lady who's been flying across the screen. And Debbie, if you can answer in the chat room, do you know when the villain stuff is coming out? Because I'm gonna leave my link up for you, that if somebody goes to, was it Panda Peeps even though I'm going to use that for another website coming soon, but I'm going to leave it for you for a little bit for your Sensi stuff. But
Those look really
all this Disney stuff, let's see if she knows what
really
it's
love
coming
that
in.
villains, especially the melter.
Right?
The melter thingy.
I'm sorry, let me get this off of your face. And I'll see if she answers before we go.
Ah,
October 1st is the day that the villain stuff comes out. So if you do go back to Panda Peeps, I don't know if it'll be there October 1st. Probably not. I have to have a website out by then, probably. But I will find a way to get them to you, Debbie. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to mention also one more time just Dan, because he was gracious enough to come, and his dad for How's the Culture in Your Kingdom. And yeah, Becky, you're going to love this book for real. You are.
I can't wait. I love that.
For the book, it's disneyboy.com for right now. And that's it. We're going to call it a night. I thank you all. Becky, I will talk to you. You know I'll bother you by Facebook at some point.
Please do.
I bother Becky with mostly minutia.
I wonder why you're up, because I'm in Seattle and you're in Florida. I'm 3 hours behind you, right? And so I get random messages at 11 o'clock at night. I'm thinking, what are you doing awake?
Sometimes it's 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm just like, oh, let me send her this picture of a panda. I don't know.
Exactly. What are you doing at 2 a.m.? Why are you awake?
I love you all. Thank you, guys. Becky, thank you.
Talk to you later.